It's the Black Hat Executive Spotlight Series. Terry Sweeney here with Black Hat. I am joined now by Perry Carpenter, Chief Evangelist and Strategy Officer for KnowBe4. Perry, thanks for joining us for this Executive Spotlight today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Unbelievably, we are still talking about social engineering in the 21st century. But before we get to that, there's a concept that KnowBe4 has been popularizing that's got a great ABC mnemonic associated with it: awareness, behavior, and culture. Talk a bit about what that is in a bit more detail, plus its applicability to cybersecurity.
Sure. And you're right on the way that you phrase that. You said it's a concept we're popularizing it. We did not originate it. It's been around for several years, but really the idea is that awareness alone has never been enough. We all get information in our heads, but we don't necessarily act on that. So when you think about the ABCs of cybersecurity, it's awareness, behavior, and culture. You know, that awareness has to filter down into beliefs and values. Those have to be exhibited through behaviors, and then that gets reflected and reinforced through the culture that gets set.
From there, what ways do hackers use psychology to bypass the technical controls and many protections that companies set up to actually get to a live human to commence social engineering?
Yeah, I think when we consider the technical environment, we have to realize that we've been doing a pretty decent job about creating really strong technical layers of security. We keep making it harder and harder for the hackers to get in through the traditional ways of let's bypass the firewall or do something else. And ultimately, what we've done is we've made some of that exterior so crunchy that they've got no other option than to just pick up the phone and call somebody. And then we see where our real vulnerabilities lie, right? It's not necessarily the fact that we have or don't have all this technology. It's that we have all of this, but we've forgotten the fact that you can bypass all of that if you talk to the right person, or if you trick the right person, or if you just walk in behind somebody, either virtually or physically. And so that psychological aspect of just playing on human nature, human kindness, human faulty thinking, or very fast thinking is the method that the attackers are going to use. Because why spend weeks or months developing a technical exploit when I can just call somebody up and get through in 3 to 5 seconds?
I totally take your point around the better crunchy technology that has shown lots of innovation and creativity to protect us from exactly the ills that you're alluding to here. Vendors really haven't come up with making better human beings yet, or more foolproof ones. So we're left with that. That being said, why should cybersecurity professionals who are trying to implement security awareness programs think more like marketers? What's that about?
Yeah. Well, I think we've suffered from the mindset. This goes back to the ABCs, right? We've suffered from the mindset for decades that if we tell people once something, that they'll just somehow absorb that knowledge and then reflect that out in their behavior. And we give these policy statements or an onboarding course, or maybe even a yearly thing. But if you notice it, Coke and Pepsi and McDonald's and Pampers and everybody else, they never just tell us about their product once a year. What they want to do is they want to bring that front of mind so that at any given time when we think about the fact that we're thirsty or we need to do something related to a certain product choice architecture, that their thing comes front of mind. And I think security folks have a lot to learn from that.
The principle of marketing is reinforcement of the message, right? Maybe the mnemonic should be ABCR.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Some kind of reinforcement, repetition. And when you get to the culture piece, that is a social based modeling structure that comes out there. If I see somebody doing something, I naturally start acting that way. I naturally start adopting the vocabulary of my friend circle. sharing the values of the culture that I'm immersed in. And so if we can build a culture that has all of those things in it, then people will naturally start to assimilate towards the cultural norms that are there. And I think we have to intentionally focus on that. If we're not, then we're missing a huge opportunity.
Sure. All that being said, I mean, KnowBe4 is a leader in the training and awareness building arena, and I think it's fair to say most organizations have in fact gotten better over the last, say, 20 years about how social engineering can negatively impact the business. It's still sort of inexplicable why social engineering is still such an effective way to execute a cyber attack. Can you break that down for us at all?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to the fact that actually, I think this could be a longer answer than we want, but I think there's a few things that are competing here, because when you look at the the drip of data breaches over the past decade or so, there's really big names in there. And I don't want to call anybody out specifically, but there's really, really big names of really smart companies that have been trying to do the right thing for security. And I'm sure that they've done security awareness and they've had great technical controls in place, but still the thing happens, right? And it's all over the news. And what it comes down to is that technology vendors, I think, keep saying we've solved the human problem. And technology buyers like to believe that they can buy something, throw it in a rack, and then forget about it. And so we've been kind of setting people up for failure because we've been saying we've taken care of that. We've taken care of that. Or our roadmap says we'll take care of that within the next 6 months. People buy it, they put it in. And over the past couple of decades, what we've seen is that people are spending 97% or more of their technology or of their security budget on technology, and they've been virtually neglecting the human, and that human is a critical layer of defense. And so if I can just exploit the way that somebody's mind works, which we all have knee-jerk reactions, we all have emotional reactions, we all slip up every now and then, we get distracted and we just make the wrong decision. If I can exploit that and bypass all of these promises that have blinking lights on it, then I'm kind of home free. And they keep doing it because it works.
Well, I guess there, but for the grace of God, go I or my organization. Right. We're all prone to this. We are, in fact, human and prone to fallibility.
And we do see branching off, right? Because we had traditional phishing and we taught people to look at links and to think about that. But then we create this whole mobile ecosystem where it's really hard to interrogate a link. And even if somebody built that right behavior, then the cyber criminal shifts again and they do business email compromise that might not have a link in it at all.
Right.
And so the training messaging has to adapt as well, because if we want to codify a behavior, we actually do have to model that behavior and continue to repeat that again, that reinforcement piece that you were talking about.
Perry, thanks for a bracing update on social engineering and what we can do to better protect ourselves. Thanks for joining us for this Black Hat Executive Spotlight.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
We've been talking with Perry Carpenter, Chief Evangelist and Strategy Officer for KnowBe4. This has been Terry Sweeney for Black Hat. Thanks for joining us for this Executive Spotlight series, and we'll see you next time.